Hey guys, this is Jonathan Henderson with Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, and today I am with David Moerman. How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. I'm excited for this.
I'm excited as well. I've always wanted to get you on a channel, man. I see you're doing great things with Home Service Business Coach and also with your company Revive Services. So I really want to get you on, talk, just pick your brain because a lot of the content you've been putting out on your YouTube, on your Facebook, I really resonate with, and I think the audience here will resonate with as well.
Cool. Yeah, man. I'm honored to be here. Hopefully the listeners can get some gold nuggets.
Yeah, man. So if you guys don't already know who this guy is and you guys have been living under a rock, right? So David owns a home service company called Revive Services, and they're in the British Columbia area of Canada. So you guys service Vancouver, Burnaby, Surrey, correct?
Exactly.
Yep. And then also, I've heard very great things about your program. I've actually talked to one of your coaches, Jackson, before, right? So I know he's out there, Mount Baker window cleaning, but you also run Home Service Business Coach as well, helping hundreds of service contractors and all of that. You work with some of my clients that I have right now, man, as well. So
Cool.
they
Nice,
told me
man.
great
That's
things. Yeah, they told me
that's
great
great.
things. Yep. So now that we introduced you, man, the first thing I want to talk about is because I heard your story on YouTube, right? I heard a lot of the stories on YouTube, but maybe you have a different spin for it, whatever it may be. But I know right now, we were just talking before camera, I know you said Revive Services is around 800K right now, about
Yeah.
20% profit margin.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
And how many employees do you guys have currently in trucks?
Yeah, Jonathan. So we've really leaned out. We used to have as much as 5 trucks, to be honest, when we were busy. And we've actually leaned out. We run now 2 trucks full time. And then we also have a fifth technician as a floater that can bounce between either of our crews or also help us out in the office. So we're like a 8-person company right now.
And man, that is running efficiency because as we know, it doesn't matter about the revenue, it matters about that bottom line, right?
Yeah, I've been as much as like 10 or 11 technicians, man, in past seasons, and we've just stayed like super busy and like we've done $100,000 months. But what I've really done in the last year, as I've jumped back in, I actually took over our marketing department this last year and really deep dove the numbers of our business. And we actually cut a lot of areas. And one of our areas was we were too bloated on the technician side. So we actually slimmed down from 8 technicians right down to 5. But the 5 we have now are like flipping all stars. So yeah, it's kind of made a little bit of a pivot in that business.
No, most definitely. So as you guys see, he's killing things. So my first question to you is just kind of give me your background, how you got into this journey of, doing exterior cleaning in the home service business.
Yeah, man. I'll sum it up. So I went to business school as a 19-year-old kid. I was playing soccer on a scholarship. I got my schooling paid for, which was sweet, but I actually ran into troubles with concussions and I got sidelined and wasn't allowed to play soccer anymore. And so I ended up running into a campus recruiter in my business school. A friend of mine actually gave me the CD-ROM at the time. It was like 2009. Sounds like so long ago. And she's like, hey, I know you were saying like, you love business, but you're kind of frustrated, like wasn't able to run a business, whatever. The CD-ROM basically said, hey, you can make $20,000 in the summer. And it was like a light bulb kind of turned off. I watched it and I knew as soon as I was done watching it, I'm like, I got to do this. So I dove in. I ran a student painting franchise for 4 seasons. I grew that simultaneously while I finished my business degree.
Mm-hmm.
But Jonathan, by like year 3, man, I was like, so in love with the painting gig. I made 50K in my 3rd summer. And I was like, I'm going to make more money. And I love this more than getting a real job. So, I ended up sticking with that business. I ended up running another different painting business. But then I got stuck, man. We hit about $550,000 in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
But I was paying this royalty fee to this franchisor that I felt I wasn't getting a great enough value per paying $50,000 a year to basically license out this painting business. Cause I had painted now for, 8 to 10 years. I knew how to bid a job, hire people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that franchisor out for dinner and I said, hey, with all due respect, like I want to go do my own thing. And he's like, well, you've signed a legal agreement. You can't just go paint on your own and start Dave's painting business. I said, what about pressure washing? He's like, go do pressure washing. I don't care. But he's like, the tickets are small. It's not going to whatever. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to give it a go anyways. So 2016 started Revive, not a dime in revenue. I had a background of running trades businesses with my painting company, but it was like brand new service offering. Didn't touch a paintbrush. I wanted to honor my, non-compete agreement that I did sign. And we're now turning 8 years old, man, this next year, depending when this goes live. So yeah, it's been a beautiful journey, kind of transitioning from painting over into the washing world.
Yeah, most definitely. So I know a lot of people go that franchising route sometimes because it's kind of like a business in a box, right? You kind of get the systems, you kind of get the processes, but then after that, like you said, you kind of top out, right? To where you're like, all right, then I can probably do this myself.
Yeah, I had my numbers dialed as far as paint and labor, but it grew enough that again, it was over 50K I was paying a year. And at the time, I was like, this doesn't make sense because I need to hire a production manager and I want to hire someone to run the office. And I was paying this huge fee. And so it just came to the point I was hitting my head on the ceiling. And I said, man, I would rather have my own brand, even if it was less revenue, because I can save that royalty fee. So it's just kind of like a crisis of meaning for me. And it wasn't anything bad the franchise did at all. It was like, I get their business model is you bring newbie entrepreneurs in and you grow them, but if the royalty fee structure doesn't change past 500,000, I do think you lose people that want to progress to that next level.
Most definitely. And so one of the biggest things that intrigued me, because I want to segue into this, because I know that you went from the painting business, obviously to the pressure washing business, but there's probably a few intricate processes and systems that had changed, but I'm pretty sure the painting really helped you and assisted you in building the systems and process for pressure washing. I saw a post on Facebook where you talked about, obviously we know the exterior cleaning game is very seasonal, right? So a lot of guys want to add Christmas lights, or a lot of guys are going to try to extract as many jobs as they can possible during the wintertime. But on the post that I saw, you had said that, a lot of the time you had, even these past 3 years, you said for your own business that you kind of shut the business down and you just worked on your systems and processes. And that's something that I resonate with a lot, not only for my own business, but I tell my clients to do that as well. Right. So can you elaborate on that? Because you don't hear a lot of people say things like that, right? Like shut your
Yeah.
business down, work on your systems and processes. You always just hear sales cures everything, So can
Yeah.
you elaborate more on that?
100%. So I think first thing, man, I think most home service entrepreneurs approach their business thinking too much in like the present day and making money today. And they're not actually thinking long term, like what's happening in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year and beyond. And so, I feel like I kind of exist in this industry to turn on people's almost CEO brain in their business and say what's happening in the future. So traditionally, man, I've taken January and February almost exclusively. We don't do much revenue during those months. And I just deep dive and like rip the whole business apart. And so, it started for me back in like 2018, where I was just coming up building this business. And it was a mentor of mine told me, he said, Dave, you actually build your container of the business in the winter and then you go out and operate it. And I think that's completely true and sound advice when it comes to these hyper seasonal businesses like window cleaning or landscaping or pressure washing. Most owners just come into it and think, what's on my schedule today, maybe this week, but they're not actually thinking of the long-term game. So I think most people misdiagnose their business and think too much in the present here and now and don't actually think forward thinking of like what's to come. So for me, I've always approached my business very analytically and have said, hey, what do I wish I would have got done in 3 months from now? And I get really busy in the winter building that out and putting my mindset already as if it was springtime and we are hiring. Like we'll go a little granular here, man. Like
Yeah,
what
of
stuff
course.
is Dave building? Okay. You got to recruit technicians. So where's your job ad for that? Do you have an online application form? Probably not. Do you have a careers page built out? Probably not. How's your branding? Do you have 2000 brand photos built out? Probably not. Are you on Canva and you've prepared all your social media posts for the year with your logo, your service, and an image? Probably not. This is what I'm talking about, man. Like there's thousands of these things that I would spend 1,000 hours before the season would even start and I'd build out the whole business. And that's why, man, when we launched Christmas lights in 2019, I was gone for 40 days on my backpacking honeymoon because I built the whole business out ahead of time. And I left my manager and my crews, and they did 31 holiday light installs while I was backpacking through Asia. So it's that level of planning and preparedness and organization. If you find yourself learning that skill, you will whoop your competitors, because most trades businesses should not, like, owners should not be running a business, because everything I just rattled off, they've not done any of it. And they just think, oh, dirty windows, $200, I can make quick cash. There's a way bigger game to be playing if you can actually plan this out.
No, you're definitely right, because what ends up happening is guys try to do all that stuff while it's in season, right? Like, oh, we need to get our social media post up, we need to get our marketing stuff up, we need to hire, and they'll do it like a month before. And I say, look, man, you probably need to do these things 3 or 4 months before,
Yeah.
it's kind of like farming, right? Like where you plant the seed, and then by the time you planted that seed, and you're looking at the flower is already created, right? When the busy season's out there. So that's really good, man. And when you said that, I was like, yeah, this guy's definitely onto something then. But yeah.
Well, yeah, man. And it's encouraging, like, for listeners of your show, like, if people can listen and actually even apply 10% of what I'm saying and actually be like, okay, let's get that dialed in. And that's only one thing, man. I know you work in the lead generation and sales world. Like, man, if it's going to slow down in August. Like, you just know summer slowdown every single year. I've ran around the base path. August gets slow. So are you going to launch painting? Like, we introduced painting this last year to our service offering, so we stayed busy. Two, you're going to get busy. So why not spend Jan, Feb, and March and run strategic partnerships? I would take home service pros out for coffee every Friday, same Starbucks, same table, meet with them, get their business cards. I built out a referral network locally that Revive refers other landscapers, carpet cleaners, HVAC companies, and they refer us as well. Didn't cost me any money, but I did all that through the winter so that I build and dig my well before I actually get thirsty. So there's oodles of examples I could give you, but I just want to hone on that point. You got to get serious before the season actually starts.
Oh, most definitely. So that was good, that those strategic partnerships that you had built in the wintertime, because I'm pretty sure they didn't blossom during, that January, February timeframe, but I'm pretty sure that it multiplied during,
Yeah.
during the summer, during the spring and fall.
Yeah, man. And if you're running a local business, people think, oh, I need to blow up on TikTok or YouTube. Like, honestly, you don't. You need to become famous in the neighborhoods you work in and the community you work in. So if your name is Bill, Bill needs to be known as the guy who has the company that cleans the windows or cleans the gutters. And the biggest problem is twofold. Bill's probably undercharging for his work. And two, Bill thinks people know him, but no one actually knows of him. And so it's that first 4-year climb of, like, get yourself famous, not on TikTok, get yourself famous in your local community.
No, most definitely, most definitely. So thank you for expounding on that, man. The next question I want to ask you, because I know that you have A players on your team right now. So the next question I want to ask is, who do you think, if you're a brand new pressure washing business, you've been in it for about a year or two now, you're a technician that's kind of stuck in the truck, and you're like, man, what should my first hire be? What do you recommend, like a first hire for somebody's like first hire? What do you recommend?
Yeah, you really need two people, man, to start moving from, like, solopreneur to, like, more of a scaled up company. Like, most companies we work with, like, they want to get their business to about 5 or 600K and be making like 150 grand of profit a year, working 30 hours a week. That's like what a lot of our guys work with. So we work through a set process. You really need two key people on your team. The first one I'll explain is really a lead technician. Traditionally, we look for someone that has worked outside, maybe in trades to some degree. If you run a pressure washing business, maybe they've painted or cut grass or worked for a moving company. We want them, like, good with people, because this, after all, is a customer service business that happens to pressure wash driveways or clean windows or whatever you do. And so that first technician in my business, in our training program, can be trained up in a period of about 2 to 3 weeks. We can bring someone in through our training boot camp, have them ride along with our manager, and have them trained up to execute the job site. Because that's the first mistake, Jonathan. Most business owners trade out their time to go pressure wash for $25 an hour, when you could have someone do the job as good as you or almost as good as you, and you could buy back your time. So that's the first hire. And the second key person, when you're running a route driven business, like, this thing's ringing, right? The iPhone is ringing with leads, with jobs, with whatever. I would highly suggest once your revenue is pushing that 100K mark, I would suggest allocating 7% of your top line revenue, so $7,000 in this case, to go hire a part-time office admin. In this example, 10 hours a week, man. Maybe you're working with a bid slot or a Jill's office or Answer Connect, or just, I personally prefer getting someone local who you can forward your phones to, who can help you take inbound calls, make outbound calls, answer your emails, maybe provide some quotes over the phone. And I would look at growing that office admin role to 20, 30, 40 hours as you stack on 100K of revenue each time. So you should cruise in to a revenue range of 4 to 500K and afford then to pay a rock star full time. So those would be the first two hires, man, I would really wrap my brain around. If someone's listening and really wants to transition from that 100K solopreneur to like, all right, I'm ready to go 2, 3, 4, get this thing to 500, maybe 7 figures. Those would be the first two key hires. I would really spend some intentionality around like building out those roles.
No, most definitely. I agree 110% with what you said, right? I agree with that 110%. Because as you know, being lead generation, what's the number one thing that I think most guys don't do? They don't answer the phone, right? Whenever, because they're going to be out on a job and I say, well, I got back to him 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, and I didn't hear a reply. I'm like, dude, he's found other people, right? Like by that time you contacted him back, he found 3 or 4 other businesses that actually answered. So he has no reason to answer your call anymore, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, I actually like the idea of what you said when it comes to hiring hiring them part-time and having a 7%, because that allows you to kind of get your feet wet and get comfortable with the task that you're going to give them. Because a lot of guys will have it to where they say, I don't know what to give this person. And I say, dude, there's so many things that you're doing right now, right? Go on. It seems like, yeah.
You have to, man. I mean, I did my first 89,000 with a technician and I was the office manager, but man, I was like just working till late at night running everything. I was also running my painting business at the time. I was getting married. Like it's just not sustainable to do that. So the second year we did 155K and I did exactly that. I brought someone on part-time and paid them. Didn't end up working out, but that trained Dave's brain to say, okay, someone can actually sit on the CRM and add in new clients and create new requests. And I gave him a simple pricing sheet and he could do some basic estimates because I was busy running around doing, 100 different things. And then that third year in business, we did 582,000. So we almost 4x the business.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, all right, we can have a big boy salary now. And I had my manager, David, run the office then for that year. And he was on full time. And then we've grown from there and transitioned again in our office. So it's like, it's a very key role that I personally don't think the business owner should be doing the fulfillment of service or should be running the office. Like that's 80% of the business, man. If you can get out of those two, you are now a salesperson and you are the director of marketing and you're still like the production manager. Those 3 roles, I think, are less day-to-day operationally that, if you get out of the office and get out of the truck, business becomes a lot more fun. And I think you can leverage your time at a much higher level.
Most definitely. So as you guys can hear right now, that lead technician and that office manager, because I like the office manager because, of course, once you hire that lead tech, you hire other technicians and that lead tech is the one that trains them. So you don't even have to train them anymore. And the office manager, we usually tend to think like as business owners, like you said, we have like 8 different hats, right? That office manager can take away like 4 or 5 of those tasks right there alone.
Yeah, man. And a good office manager, like my office manager booked $76,000 of work last month, man, like on the schedule, like just dialed in. And I'm like, great on the phone, great with people, very organized. I haven't done an estimate in my company in the last 2 years. So it's like that level of like great people on your team allow the business to run year round, run profitably. And if we're talking about hiring here, man, like red hot tip, I've done this for many years, is I search on Indeed what the going rate is for, let's say, an office manager, and I jack my pay up by 15%, 1.5, and I pay all my people 15% above industry average. People are like, Dave, you're overpaying for stuff. I'm like, no, employees are the best investment you can have in your business. And from my techs to my operations manager to my office manager, like 8 people, rock stars front to back. And that gives me bandwidth and creativity as an entrepreneur to plan that next level of the company. So you don't need 8 rock stars on your team, but for context of this conversation, you need a rock star tech, could produce you about $150,000 a year that you could pay 50 grand a year to go do all your cleaning or all do whatever. And you need a rock star office manager that I suggest you go bite size with part-time and you progress more into that role.
Most definitely, most definitely. I heard Alex Hormozi. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he said that it is better to actually pay an A player 1.5 times the going rate than to just have, the going rate and have 2 people, because to replace an A player is more expensive, you know what I mean, than just to have 2 average people, right?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Hormozi and Jackson too, man. Jackson ran into Hormozi last week in Las Vegas, so
Oh, did he?
he ran back and grabbed a selfie because he's like, Dave, I know you'd want to see it. So it's like kind of a cool moment for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him about that, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
do it.
Alex Hormozi out there. So, yep. So my next question to you would be, what is the biggest mistake? So I guess it will be twofold question. So
Sure.
I guess I'll ask the first one. The first question I'll ask is, like, for new pressure washing business owners, right? What is what should they do to first get those initial jobs? Because I know a lot of them are like, I don't know how to get jobs, man. I don't know what I'm doing. What would you recommend for them if they're first coming in and they've been in for about, less than 6 months? What would you tell
Okay.
them to do in order to start getting jobs?
Yeah, I would recommend, man, just what I did. I mean, my buddy, actually, he's an admin of like the biggest Facebook group for painters, and my buddy Tanner, and he posted and was like, if you had $250 to start your business, like, what would you do? And I just like chimed off on that because it resonated with me. I didn't start this business with much money and I just got after it. So my answer was literally, man, business cards and a golf shirt, like get something with a company logo and just go start knocking on doors. Now that's controversial, man. And your viewers right now might be eye rolling. Dave, I tried that. It didn't work, this and that. I've sold over $1 million knocking on doors, not really knowing what I'm doing, to sell painting and washing. So every business I've started up in trades, we've started with just door knocking. So I'm a huge fan of that, man. I understand it's controversial. I understand people say might not work in your area. You need to be cognizant of no soliciting. Some neighborhoods you need to have an actual permit to door knock as well. I'm in Canada here, man. Are Canadians more friendly than Americans? I don't know, but it works here to go door knock. Obviously, be sensitive of neighborhoods. And we had issues with door knocking through the COVID pandemic too. Everyone had their views on that. And, we saw some disruption with that. But that is, I think, if you're brand new to business, you go find what's called your honey hives of neighborhoods and you go start door knocking in those. Because let me tell you right now, my team's doing holiday lights in November right now. We will get streets and cul-de-sacs where we'll be doing every second or every third house is not abnormal. And so you want to get neighbors to know about you. So second piece of advice, if you're listening, I get door knocking works. I'm too scared, this or that. It helps develop you as a person as well. And it helped me massively, but let's just say you don't want to door knock. So the next tier down, I would move into flyers. The only issue with that, you can door knock, Jonathan, for 1 hour and drive 1 lead, no problem. Can you flyer for 1 hour and get 1 lead? You probably won't. You're probably into flyer for 2.5 hours to get 1 lead. And I just know this from School of Hard Knocks. My manager was like, Dave, why are you flyering all the time? Go door knock. And the first year I did 52,000. I said, I'm not going to door knock. I don't want to pester people that no. Second year, he's like, do door knocking. I said, all right, I'm not going to flyer. I didn't do a single flyer that year. I knocked doors. I doubled my sales to 105,000 in one season. So I think if you can get out of your own way, it's the most effective, the most cost-effective way to get leads. If you're not going to touch it, go with flyering. Just know it's going to cost more and it's going to take more sweat equity to do. And the last piece I do, whether you fly or door knock, ideally you do both, is the lawn signs, man. Kill it. If you're brand new, list your service, man. Pressure washing, phone number, maybe your little magic pressure washing logo. maybe a website. That's it though. Keep it simple. Like 80% of your lawn sign should be pressure washing, the phone number, and then the rest can be kind of creative. But you can go to like a company like Dope Marketing, man, and get like a lot of our guys get that, man, signs for $4 or $5. There's CanadaLawnSigns.com here in Canada.
Mhm.
You know, if you don't have a couple hundred of those in your stock getting started, you could throw $1,000 at lawn signs and you could spin that into 10K of pressure washing work, like no problem. So for me with marketing, if I'm putting my money in, I got to get 10 times my money. And most marketing things guys do, they don't get 10x. So if I took $1,000 into door knocking and I bought a $50 shirt and I bought, you know, a bunch of flyers and I took a friend with me and paid him $30 for every lead, I could easily get 10x from that $1,000 door knocking investment. So just like, you gotta know where your metrics lie. But I also think when it comes to newbies starting, go attack your neighborhoods with some tenacity by way of door knock, signs, flyers. I think that's like the most rudimentary. I don't have a lot of money, but I have a lot of ambition. That's going to be the best place to start.
Yeah, like I said, the one thing that's synonymous between a lot of guys that are very successful is I've asked you, I've asked plenty of different guys that we've had on here. And the one thing that is synonymous all the time is they all say the same thing, door knock, right? And I tell guys, like, look, it doesn't matter. Like, even for me, like with digital marketing, right? When I first started, there was no door knocking, right? But I called it digital door knocking. I would literally
Yeah.
like break down dudes' websites and I would send it to their like email, their Facebook Messenger. I would do all of that because what else am I going to do? Like, I can run Facebook ads and do all of that, but you don't have any startup costs, right? And so
Yeah.
every successful person, like you said, that I've known, I know this might be controversial, but if you're not good at sales and you're a business owner, then at that point, should you really be running a business then at that point, right? Because you can't really teach
Yeah.
anybody else that. And like I said, there's going to be certain things as a business owner you're going to have to go through, right? You're going to have to go through those lumps. You're going to have to go through those trials and tribulations to be a successful business owner. And
Yeah.
knowing how to drum up leads out of nowhere is one of those things you just have to have.
Yeah, man. And I'm like my own biggest critic too, because when I started, like I said, for a year, I told my manager, I'm like, I'm not door knocking. Like I was this shy kid playing soccer. I'm like, my wife literally commented to me yesterday. She's like, it's funny that one of your businesses is now coaching and talking and speaking. But she's
Yeah.
like, you were scared to do that before. But it was like, I knocked on over 4,000 doors, man. And like my shyness was like beaten out of me with doors in the face, like this and that. Is like now someone, like yesterday I got an email from one of our email lists like, F you, Dave, why are you sending me blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, it just rolls off you now because I'm like, I really don't care. And so you build that thick skin of resilience through door knocking. And if you can get out of your own way and actually think about this thing, what you're building. Like I was more married to my dreams of making 100 grand a year and getting into real estate 12 years ago than I was like what the market actually thinks about me, or I got rejected at the door. So when I did 105K of sales, it was every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I would put on the same button up shirt and I would go and door knock, just me, because I didn't have money to pay anyone. And I did 105 grand of revenue, of which I made about 30,000 of profit on. And it was like that year, 2010, I'm like, all right, I'm convinced. And it's my best groundbreaking advice. And I know it's not a easy way to the top, but the last thing I'll tell you, Jonathan, this works because 19 out of your other 20 competitors won't go knock on doors. And that's why this is a beautiful way to get started, I think, in a home service business.
Oh man. Thank you. Because I know we got probably about 20 minutes, man. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to get these. I'm gonna try to get these
do
questions
it.
from you, man. So what do you think most exterior cleaning businesses need to work on the most if they want to grow?
Oh man.
I guess the number one thing, if there's two or three things
Yeah,
you
two. I'll
that
give you two, man. One is the mindset. So I think too many guys and girls, but a lot of guys are in trades right now. We need more girls. And they think of their business as a technician and not as like an entrepreneur. So I think if you could go pick up any of these books behind me, it'd be the one standing up right there, the E-Myth Revisited.
Mhm.
I picked that up in 2016 and I've read it 13 times ever since, man. And it basically says, if you want to be a technician and run a 100K business, that's fine. But there's levels to this game. There's a manager and there's an entrepreneur level. And if you can move to level 3 entrepreneur, you then leverage your time and you build out a whole machine that can run independent of the owner. So I think mindset, I know it's like woo woo and entrepreneurship, but I really think when your brain flicks on and you think more like an entrepreneur, it will
Mhm.
change the game for everything. So that'd be my first piece of advice. And the second one, man, biggest mistake I see is just comes down to pricing, man. Like guys price their jobs again, thinking like a technician. If me and Jonathan can go turn up to this job and bust out a $300 job, we just made $300. Like, no, you didn't, because you got to pay for your CRM, your fuel, your chemical, your marketing, your it whittles all down. An owner operator, you're maybe making 50% profit, like maybe, but even again, it might not even be that high. And so my thinking is that you need to be very cautious about the foundation you build your business on, because you can get to a very scary place of doing 100 grand a year, which is just 100 grand of underbid jobs that people are loyal to you and your price and not loyal to your business. You look at my company today, we'll do about 750 jobs this year. Dave doesn't have to be on any one. You read the last 200 Google reviews, Dave's name is not even mentioned. You need to extract yourself from the business and build a machine that can run without you. And you do that with three things: proper mindset, proper pricing, and then hiring a team of rock stars. And those are three very easy things I can just rattle off here on an interview, man, but actually take multiple years, I believe, to actually like build and put the piece into place. And I've been doing this, man. I'm going into 15 years now of home services. So it's like hired 150 people, produced over 5,000 jobs. We've done over 7 million in revenue. Like it's like, I didn't just learn all this stuff on one YouTube video. It's like this constant iteration, always growing, always learning. And I think as an entrepreneur, the best investment you can make is into your self-education. Because it's like it has built my whole business, and my businesses have built my life, and it all tethers back to self-education and how I've grown myself as a person.
Most definitely. I think I agree 110% with that. Going back to Alex Hormozy again, like with the pricing that you said, because it rang a light bulb when I heard him say something about, and at first I didn't really think about it because I was like, because we want to compare our pricing to our competitors, right? And
Yep.
then that he was saying like, your competitor may not be, he may be going out of business too. You know what I mean? Or he may be going out of
Yeah.
business, you're pricing just like him, right? And you guys are just racing to the bottom. So I really like how you just explained that just
What
now.
happens in trades too, man. I mean, like I had a mentor tell me years ago, he's like, Dave, charge more money, do less jobs, and make more profit. And it was like how he said that so simply. It was like it changed the direction of where I'm going. Cause when I got this business going, Jonathan, I was like, all right, 65 bucks an hour. That's our rate. We're going to make money, this and that. We ran that and it didn't work. And so going in the next year in 2019, I doubled my prices. I said, no, not 65, almost doubled, 125 an hour per tech. Our market, our guys were like, are you flipping crazy? 125 per guy. That's $2,000 a day. I said, or 1,800 a day. I said, this is where we need to go to run the business. And so we've been running that now going on 4 years. Our target, 125 per hour per guy. That's not just on the job site, man. That's driving to get fuel to and from. So like we need $1,800 to $2,000 a day to power this business. And that's just because I know where my numbers need to be. If I tried to run it on $1,100 a day and Dave sit back and have a crew and the managers, it doesn't make money. So like you need to know where those expenses are in your business so you can formulate your price book from it. And like just blanket statement, the worst thing you can do is base your pricing off what the other dudes in your industry are charging, because it's like everyone's wearing a blindfold and we're all trying to like play pin the tail on the donkey. Like no one knows what the F they're actually doing. So like be the outlier and stand out. That's what I've always tried to do. Because you're gonna be happier running 100K business of well bid jobs than do 200K and like, oh, we got another truck. But if like I was making money, man, on my first truck, 89 grand, I made 40 grand.
Mm-hmm.
155, I made 60K. Like you have to make money in this business early. Otherwise you don't grow it. So I'm just like, you do nothing from this talk other than raise your prices, you have a significantly better business on your hand. And I don't think you can do marketing, man, or hire great people if you don't have the proper pricing to begin with.
Most definitely, most definitely. So thank you for expounding on that. My next question for you that I would want to talk about is, when do you think, because the biggest thing that I want to say, and I want to hear what you have, because obviously you've done a million before, you're 800,000 with very, very healthy profit margins, right? So the question I get a lot, and the thing that I would want, just to ask for like guys that are experienced like you, is going to be, when should exterior cleaning businesses first invest into digital marketing? What I mean by that is, SEO, Google ads, whatever, maybe Facebook ads, right?
Yep.
Should they first invest into digital marketing, in your opinion?
Man, so I'll break that down. SEO, when should you invest? Like yesterday, to be honest. Like SEO, I think of those three is my personal favorite. We started with SEO in 2018. We did 150K. I hired a company, and it's changes all the time, right, man? As you know, but back then, 5 years ago, you could build like, I made like some YouTube videos and we built like some backlinks and we embedded them in the website, and like it was like overnight, man. We were like ranking, and that was the third company I hired. So I was a little bit frustrated because in 17, 18, I was trying to hire a couple different companies, and like it finally clicked when you search pressure washing in South Surrey. It was like Revive, and I was like, oh man. So that my business changed when we figured out the SEO. We got a little lazy with it, man, the last few years, until this last year we've really taken a push to it as I've dove back into marketing. So I think SEO is a big one, man. That might, for a small business, man, if you're doing 100 grand, SEO might cost you 600, 700, 800 bucks, $1,000 a month. Like, just make sure you go with someone who can show you what they're doing and get like a good ROI, because there's two kinds of real estate I love to own, man. Like real estate in the real world, and then the digital real estate, man. If you can get eyeballs on your service and your area, you're printing money, man. Someone asked me, I was speaking at the huge convention, and they're like, how much would you say your GMB is worth? And I was like, man, if someone gave me 200 grand, I don't think I would sell it, to be honest. Cause I'm like, the phone rings every day from that, and we own that real estate. So that's the SEO. Facebook, Google ads, man, like it's changed a lot. I'm a very like dog on a bone, like just like tunnel vision. Like, so for me, I chose to not turn on Facebook ads or paid until we hit 582K. That was just my stance. Because I was like, we didn't do any digital, man. When I ran a painting business, I was just like direct to consumer, door knock, hit your flyers, get your signs. So I personally think everyone's market is different, but your first foundational piece, I would say, is neighborhood marketing. And I would personally coach someone to scale up as high as they could in their first few years. And that might be a couple hundred grand for someone, might be 500 for someone else, whatever it is. Your second tier of the pyramid, though, man, would be the paid ad component. Let's say SEO is running, you're crushing the neighborhoods, you're paying your guys for Google reviews, you got a referral program running, you're hitting your Starbucks coffee meetups with your strategic partners or BNI, you got the truck wraps, you got your A-frame sign out, got all that stuff dialed. Then I would say, all right, let's start with a budget for either Google PPC or for Facebook ads. And I would try and measure those two against each other. And again, I would work with someone who knows what they're doing. So tough to say an exact revenue, man, but I just personally don't believe in building a company like, oh, you're doing zero revenue, like turn on all the paid ads. And again, if someone's listening to this and they built a service business to 500,000 or 750 or $1 million, and like, your way around the base path, that person, I might be like, all right, you could probably turn on paid ads early because like what you're doing. But most pressure washing guys, man, I'm talking like 98 out of 100, more time than money. and they're not yet famous in their honey hive neighborhood. So I would say like first do that and then like move up your pyramid and look at turning on paid. And I'm only going to say and coach based on what I've done and what I'm doing. So that's just how I'd go about it.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you when it comes to like SEO, when it comes to Google Business Profile, because I always tell people that is the digital real estate that you want to always have. You know, we have physical real estate and then you have digital real estate, and that digital real estate right there, like you said, if somebody said, "Yeah, man, I want to pay you 200,000 for your gene," but you're like, I make probably 200,000 or more from
Yeah.
that, from that alone in my business, and
Yeah.
so that's good. I guess it kind of segues because I have 2 or 3 more questions.
Sure.
Next question is just going to be what do you do for you? Like, what marketing do you do for Revive? Then my next
Mhm.
question is going to go ahead and be, because I have it right here. My next question is going to go ahead and be kind of why coaching. Well, I guess I'll be the last one. So
Sure.
my next one will be like, what's the biggest key for recruiting and building a team? Just one, and then and we'll end it off with like why coaching has been so important for
Sure.
your business. And so the first one, like I said, is going to be what marketing do you do for Revive?
Yeah. So this year we're doing SEO. We run print, so like just printing flyers. We're very adamant about doing our 10 around, so 10 flyers to every neighbor that we're working around the job site. Man, we've done really good success this year with outbound to our email list. We have a 5,000 person email list now of clients and prospects that we email 4 times a year through MailChimp. That works great. And then we've done outbound phoning as well with a VA. We have a team that does outbound to our clients. And the fifth way would be we just started, man, experimenting with Facebook ads for our holiday light season. So I've actually been running that as a pilot myself, just with my media buyer, kind of playing around and seeing. So those are like strategies we're doing, man. But the overall best marketing is twofold. Like provide a kick butt experience on the job site, make sure clients are like raving fans happy. And the best thing you can do, man, is just holistically build a brand in your marketplace so people associate Revive with a quality experience when it comes to washing, painting Christmas lights. Like all those strategies just funnel into like building out the brand, which like I'd prefer you have inbound leads coming because people just know who you are and what you do, but you kind of got to walk, I believe, for like a decade until you start getting some like serious, honestly, man, some serious inbound. Because painting, it took me close to 10 years to like build something awesome. And same with Revive, we're going into our 8th year. I'm like, I still feel I got like time, man, to put these things into place. So that's how I'd answer. That's what we're doing right now, like 2023 into 24.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So you just said like have a kick ass experience on the job, right? For
Yep.
your so what has been just the biggest recruitment tool for you in terms of like development your team or finding those A players? I know we talked about the process of hiring and all of that and all of that. So, but just developing your team and all of that, like any kind of like culture things and or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, man, lots. I mean, a phrase if people are taking notes is like a small business means a big opportunity. And I really believe in that. My ops manager today, Steve, started with me in 2019, squeegeeing windows. And fast forward today, he's blown up his income and he's effectively running my company with my office manager, making a really good annual salary. And so he's been able to do that in a period of 4 years because he's basically said, this place has opportunity. This is now a career for me, not just a job. How we did that, man, is something I coined the term. I don't know if people use it, but I started using it years ago. It's called the hybrid role. So I took Steve and I said, hey, I'm busy here, man. I'm running all million things. I said, I want to start showing you snippets of the business. So I would take him on Fridays, man, and get him doing my production stuff. So I'm like, all right, here's your shopping list at Home Depot, right? I need a power drill. I need this. I need this. I need this. I need you to go and, drop this off at the crew. And then I need you to go, or the first time I'm like, man, I need you to come with me. We're going to go see this super pissed off client that we screwed up. And I want you to see some conflict resolution in action. And then next season, it was Thursdays and Fridays. I took Steve. I said, all right, office team, Steve can go on site Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He needs to do these production things. And I started giving him more things off my plate. So a lot of guys are like, how the heck do you get a Steve and pay him year round? You do it with a hybrid role. You give them a little appetizer of 1 day a week and 2 days a week, what that looks like. Because I think most of your quality key people want to see more facets of the business rather than just cleaning for 40 hours a week. So once someone's like prove they're in it to win it, I would figure out an ascension plan, how we can move them to be your manager. Because very few companies, Jonathan, I've consulted, just put up a hiring ad for an ops manager for 70 grand and get someone coming in on Indeed. Like, you need someone who knows the business and fits the culture and knows you. And so you really grow your own people, in my opinion. So that's been our best, retention strategy and like ascension planning, because you only need two key people, man, to run a beautiful, profitable 750K business. You need your rock star techs, you need a rock star office manager, and you need a really good like operations manager who can run the crews. It doesn't have to be a complicated business.
Hey man, look, you're taking complicated things and making them uncomplicated. That's why I said a lot of the stuff that you say I really resonate with, because you're running like, people think running like services like ours, like digital marketing, is where it only goes into play where you're running the stuff. But man, you're like digifying it, man, in that sense. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So the thing about that too, so like one of my last questions to you, man, and just kind of segue and talk about like your programming and all that. But before we talk about your program and like what you offer, because I saw that last week, man, you came out with your club, right? But
Yeah.
before we talk about all of that stuff, what's been the importance of coaching and all of that, because I know you said you heavily invested in that, early on, right? So
Yeah.
uh, what kind of impact has that had on not only your entrepreneurial life, but your personal life and just in general when it comes to your business?
Huge, man. I mean, I prop myself up as my biggest investment. And so if it's a $30 book, oldies behind me, I've read and invested in myself thousands into books. I've went into courses, hired coaches. Like I think years ago it shifted for me, Jonathan, where I'm like, honestly, the biggest flex is actually time freedom rather than income. And I think that most entrepreneurs, because money's tight, right? And that's a belief we hold. But I really think if you do your research and consume someone, like if someone listens to your show, man, and listens to all your free stuff, gets the value, like I wouldn't think too hard about joining someone's paid thing if I already have gotten tons of value and really believe in them. And so for me, like I'm well into the 6-figure investment now of just investing into Dave Moerman. Like I said, all those different kind of channels that I've done that. And some programs have been better than others, but I do believe when you invest in yourself, whether it's a program, a book, whatever, when you put some dollars down on the table, you're proving to yourself saying, all right, I'm betting on Dave. I'm betting on Jonathan. I'm betting on me to go spin this into a great return and a great investment. And like for me, man, I'm 34 years old. We just had our first baby son, Beckham. Like I've been home every day with him, man, like working in my office here, doing what I need to do. And I can bounce upstairs and hang out with him or see my wife. And it's like, I believe the businesses I own have created this great lifestyle for me and my family. It doesn't mean it's easy and there's no stress ever, but it's a lifestyle that I choose to live. And I believe it only got built out because I got very early on in my journey. I would just cold DM people and reach out. I slept on my buddy's floor. Like I'll just go and find the person who already owns the thing I want to own. And I think I collapse my time of learning from like, I'd probably figure it out, but it'd probably take me 5 years. If I can do it in 1 to 2 instead of 5, for me, that's like a huge win. So I feel like I'm 34 today, but I've already learned the knowledge that maybe some 60-year-olds might take to learn because they think that they know it all. So for me, get around the person who lives the life I want to live, make sure they're legit. And then really, man, just try and be like the stupidest person in the room and ask a lot of questions. Like it sounds silly, but I always say in my program, like, there's no dumb questions because I went through a whole college degree, man, shy, introverted, so sweating at the back, scared to ask questions. I'm like, put me in a classroom now. I'd be the front row, like just peppering questions because it's just a confidence thing now.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. So let's talk about your coaching program, man. Because I know that one of your first students that you had, I don't know if he's still coaching with you or not, but I know Mason Bucher, like, you work with
Yeah.
him. So I
Yep.
remember Jason, like you have some other guys. Like I remember David, like his name's David Evans, but
Yep. Good.
yep, yep,
Good
yep.
guys, man. Yeah. A
Yeah,
lot of
so
crossover.
yeah, man. So there's other people as well that I've come across, but I know I was talking to him today. He's like, "Hey man, shout me out." I was like, "I'll shout you out,
Oh,
man," you know.
right on. Shout out to David. Awesome.
but uh but like tell us a little bit more about your program. So home service business coach, like why you started it, why pressure washing business should join, and then you like kind of what you guys go over, and then your two different
Sure.
programs. I know I'm giving you a lot of stuff right now to
Oh
do.
man, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I got a little bit of time still. So back in 2020, man, I grew Revive. Pandemic started here in Canada. I had some time on my hands, and people were reaching out to me, being like, "Can you send me your organizational chart? How did you?" And I started like DMing people through the night, and I'm like, it kind of was a light bulb went off of like, man, I feel like I can really teach this stuff, and actually met with like a franchise lawyer, and I was prepared to actually franchise out Revive, and I went in a different direction and said, the franchising thing, it does work, but I've been there on the one side of the fence. What if I built out this consulting model that people would pay monthly to get access and my help to build all this infrastructure in their business? Because it's like 96% of pressure washing businesses don't actually get built into a business. They're like solopreneurs farting around for 1 to 5 years and then they piece out of their business. So I'm like, what if we could actually build a legitimate business and set someone free with a profitable business? So I got really busy, man, for the last 3.5 years now, building out home service business coach, and it's transitioned from me, doing one-on-one Zoom calls for $200 an hour to full-blown program. Now we've helped 185 entrepreneurs, man, pressure wash, paint, landscape, build a dream lifestyle. So yeah, nuts and bolts. People can check us out on our website. I'm sure you'll link it up, but our flagships, our foundations program, man, it's not cheap, but it certainly helps the serious entrepreneurs move from A to B and build out a real great business for their lifestyle. Because, man, most of our guys are like, I want more income, I want freedom, and I want to be around my family more. And the last thing a lot of our guys are wanting to do, man, build a profitable business they can push into real estate investment. So those are like the big outcomes that we really strive hard as a team to deliver on. So yeah, it's kind of us in a nutshell. If people want to get around us, man, I'm sure you'll link up a bunch of free resources we push out. I think we put out, I counted up like 23 pieces of content a week we push out, and then obviously more because it gets like repurposed everywhere, but like 23 core pieces of like people reading it. Like we want to just stop them in their tracks and be like, think about your business like a CEO. That's like the biggest thing I want, whether guys work with us or not. Like, change your psychology around what this business is.
Most definitely. So even I know that even if guys, because like I said, I have a lot of guys that are in your program and I've heard great things. So even if guys look at that price point and they say like, oh man, it can be expensive for the coaching. I know you just last week, right? I know we're in November. So anybody that's
Yeah.
watching this, 5 months from now from this, right?
Yeah.
November 13th, 2023 right now. But I know last week you came out with the club, right? And
Yeah.
so that one I know how much is that one? I think it's like
Yeah, we're promoting it, man. $97 a month. And I mean, we launched it free, man. I built that community to 450 people. We actually shut it down one evening because I got so ticked off. People are coming in for free that I'm like, no. We need to get people to pay a little bit so they actually commit and show up. So we launched that for free. We're taking on our first 100 members at 97 a month. And that just gives you access to high level training and resources to, again, solidify this mindset to get off the truck. So it's a great fit for like a beginner and someone that's like, hey, I don't have $1,500 a month for a coaching program. Go check out the club, get around us, get in a community. And it's certainly my hope that it is significantly better than any group you'll find on Facebook. Because I got upset seeing these Facebook groups ask technical questions, man. I know we share the same sentiment. I'm like, what if I just had a low ticket membership guys could come in through the winter and learn from? So we've been like building out that community as a little bit of like an entry level offer for us, but our bread and butter is still our coaching program. But I'm like, we got our membership going. It's been fun to get that off the ground.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And like I said, it's $97, dude. I mean, if somebody gets one gold nugget from you, man, that
There you
pays
go.
like literally that pays itself like 3, 4 times over, right? If you're pricing right, you know what I mean? But
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have anything else for me, David? Like I said, man, I really appreciate you for this. This was really good, man. Like jam-packed with a lot of knowledge or anything else. You got anything else for the people, man? Like any tips or any hacks you have as an entrepreneur that doesn't have to be in the washing business, just overall in.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think like we covered a lot. I mean, to sum it up, I mean, I think a CEO really focuses on three big things, people, vision, and money. And so I think the people side we talked about, like paying people more than industry average, building out their roles over the winter, really building that culture where you can have people have this be like a career, not just a job. That's a huge one. Vision, man, like your business is only limited based on the psychology of the owner. And I'm sure you see this, Jonathan. Some people think 100K is a big business. Some people think a million's a big business. Tommy Mello thinks a billion is the infancy stages, right? I'm like, the guy's on a different level, and you get people all in between the continuum there. And so not everyone wants to build a big Tommy business, but you got to figure out, what do you actually want? And a lot of guys, like I said, your dreams can come true building a 500 to 750K business. Maybe you don't want to scale it to the moon. Maybe you do. Like, you need to pivot it back to what your vision is, and you need to cascade that to your team so that people can plug in and see an opportunity with what you're building. And the last thing, man's money. Most guys listening on here right now, if you had to grade 0 to 10, how happy are you with your level of income you made from your washing business? I bet most people would answer 5 or below out of 10. That's a problem, because it comes back down to your pricing and knowing your numbers. And that's like the last thing to really focus on, is the money of the business. It's all fun to give to charity and hire people and market and say you're a business owner, but like fundamentally a business needs to kick off profit every month, needs to kick off cash flow. And if your company cannot yet do that, your business model is broken, and you need to actually, I think, invest in yourself and really learn that problem before you go produce another job. So like, yeah, vision, people, and money. I think if you spent your winter, for the listener, whenever this comes out, building those three like super highways, you're going to have like a way better year next year in 2024.
Yeah, man. Well, awesome, awesome, awesome. So I really appreciate the time. I know you're a very busy guy, man. So I really appreciate the time that you had, to take out to really like get this information. So if you guys want to find David, I literally have all of his links, because I know you have a podcast yourself, man. I know that you have your website. I know you have the Instagram, the Facebook group, your YouTube channel, as well as at Home Service Business Coach. And, if you guys want to check out his company website, see his stuff over at reviveservices.ca as well. You guys can definitely check that out. But everything, even when it comes to his club membership, all of that kind of stuff, I will link to this. If you guys are watching the podcast, or you guys watching this on YouTube, you guys will definitely have access to all of this. But once again, David, like I said, I really appreciate your time and giving us all these good gold nuggets.
Cool, Jonathan. Thanks for having me, man. And congrats what you built too, man. Really, really impressive. And we'll have to do it again.
Yep. Sounds good, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
See you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.